Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Class of Racing. We all know that when you come to races you need your jockey to have done his work, the trainer to have done his work, and obviously the horse must be as fit as a fiddle. But what about the surface they race on? I'm talking about the turf. This program we're going to deal exactly with the turf itself. We're going to talk to all the people involved with making sure that the going is always good. Dean, you're the facilities manager in the Western Cape for racing. What does that actually all include?
Well, it includes the two training centres, Milnerton and Philippi, and the management thereof, and obviously the two racecourses, Durbanville and Kenilworth. Talking
early November 2011, our season's just underway here in the Western Cape, and obviously we know that every year it's got to get you have to basically get the tracks in shape so that they're ready for our season. We're only racing on the new surface from the 1st of December. Tell us about the reason being so late, because some of the trainers and jockeys believe it is quite late in the season. I've had a look, I can see you've scarified the track and it's starting to grow. Will it be in time for the 1st of December?
Yeah, the weather hasn't been in our favour this year. We haven't had the best of temperatures, and so that's been a detrimental factor in preparing the tracks, but we're positive that we will be ready for the day.
All right, now having a look at this scarification of the new course. We're standing upstairs, we're having a look, we'll show the viewers the shots as well. The process behind scarifying it, that means cutting it right down to next to nothing. It still leaves the grass roots are still there from the previous growth, and then what happens?
We remove the thatch, which promotes new growth on the track. We also, to a degree, try and remove some of the composted material which forms a layer on the surface. And you
the water going through.
Yeah, and also you tend to find that your roots tend to concentrate on an area which is not an ideal scenario, so we try and get the roots to penetrate through the root surface.
I want to ask you about the terminology. I know we've used it with our soccer fields in the past, the verticuts. Do they do that here? Because that does stimulate growth?
Absolutely. We do use verticutting from time to time. Basically, verticutting obviously promotes growth, so you're cutting your rhizomes and your stolons at the same time, and obviously you're removing some thatch, and which obviously allows air to move through freely through your leaf zone. Yeah, do verti-drain the track from time to time and try and break up the compaction. It also helps with air movement through the root zone. We do blading or knifing of the track, which obviously stimulates growth. Also by cutting the rhizomes and the stolon, you have the similar effect where you cut a tree where you have a number of shoots coming through.
When they race on any given race day throughout the country, throughout the world, on grass, we use kukui here obviously. The divots caused by the horses' hooves, you've got the people walking, stamping, filling in the divots. How important, is that essential, replacing that wad of grass or tuft of grass back as soon as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important for us. Obviously, the damage with the horse's imprint is severe, so we try and get the grass to grow back in those areas as quick as possible.
You do have quite a big job here at Kenilworth. We've got 3 tracks. Not too many race courses have 3 tracks. We've got what we know as the old course, which is the shorter running. We've got the summer course, the new course, which the J&B Met will be run on in our Group 1 feature races. And then we've got the straight courses as well. For you, very much involved hands-on, which one gives you the most grey hairs?
Well, certainly the summer course is the biggest problem for us. The material that was brought in when they planted up the track is quite a deep sod, so we have areas that we have to concentrate really on, and the soil conditions are very different from area to area. So yeah, that's a big issue. We tend to find that some areas become waterlogged as opposed to other areas that dry fairly quickly.
Now, shifting the rail, we often come racing and we hear that the rail's been moved out, or the rail's been moved in, whether it's Durbanville, whether it's here. That's obviously 9 times out of 10 for safety of racing, and also obviously for keeping the grass from being used the same inside running rail time and time again. How important is that for you?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially around the turn, we move the rail essentially to protect the track, and obviously also provide a safe going for the horses.
Punters always look for excuses. They say the going was better on the outside, better down the inside, or quicker down the middle. We'll touch on that. Firstly, on the straight course for the sprint, because often we'll see if it rains, horses with high numbers, high draws on the outside, people say often win. Is that the case?
No, I think it's more perception rather than a rule. You know, we profess that our track is fair through the length of the track, so I don't believe there's any difference.
Okay, now when it gets to mowing, is there a rule or regulation with mowing or rolling of a surface? That's now, I think the rule would be obviously uniform throughout South Africa. Is there a rule saying that if you're going to roll the inside, you have to roll the outside, or is that left up to you to decide this is what you need to do with A to make it the same as B and C?
As a rule, we don't roll the inside or the outside. If we roll the entire course.
Very important for punters out there. They sit at the totes and they want to know the position of the false rail. Whose decision is it to make such a vital, important decision on race day?
We make the decision. We obviously do take input from trainers, but ultimately the decision lies with us. If
you get it wrong, it can favour other horses and not favour the others. Does it give you sleepless nights?
No, not really, man. We obviously try and make it fair as possible, considering, the amount of track that we have to work with. Obviously on bigger days we try and have a nice spur where everybody can get a fair run.
Dean, we've spoken about what happens on the local side, but internationally, I know South African racing, the whole world knows about South African horse racing now. Do you ever get visitors come and look at the track, give you information, maybe assist you or ask you for your advice?
No, absolutely. I think we're a pretty tightly knit community as far as the racing industry is concerned, and we certainly do communicate with other role players overseas. I have travelled extensively myself.
With your extensive travelling that you've just mentioned now, if you had to earmark one course that you think the track was the best ever, where would that be?
It's difficult to say. I think South African tracks, by comparison to other tracks in the world, grass surfaces, we're right up there with the best.
We're now focusing on the old course, which is the shorter running here at Kenilworth in the Western Cape. It's about 450 metres as they turn left-handed and head for home to the judge. And once again, you can see, although late in the year and a lot of racing taking place here, that the old course is looking very, very good. Now let's have a look at the summer course or the new course. 600 metres when they turn for home. This is our main course in the Western Cape, where the big races, including the J&B Met, will be run. A problematic area has always been the crossover at Kenilworth in the Western Cape. We've joined Dean, he's taken us to the crossover to explain exactly what a headache it can be. Well, we are standing here at Kenilworth at the crossover. Now there is a name that the punters always hear out there, that they say there's a problem at the junction or at the crossover. I'm going to ask Dean exactly what it all entails. Dean, obviously the crossover, we're standing to that side is a straight course. On my left is where the circular course comes around and crosses over where the horses will be sprinting.
Yeah, obviously the most damage we have on the track on a race day is obviously on the crossovers, because it takes the traffic from the races around the turn as well as the races down the straight. So yeah, this does take the most damage and obviously requires the most attention.
Do you ever get a stage where the divots or the too much racing has now affected it so badly that you actually remove a square metre of grass and replace it with another square metre of grass?
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing to do. We do it from time to time. We take quite a big sod and place it in the area that's been denuded. We try not to do it. We have a break after the Met, which allows us to do some remedial work on the track, and generally that's the time we will do something like that. We're quite fortunate that we have a fairly sandy soil. That obviously is beneficial in the sense that we have fairly decent root growth on the track. Obviously it also allows us to race in the winter when most other venues will not be able to race.
Dean, obviously there's a divot to be repaired now. In your hand you've got the mix that you have. What does that entail?
Well, Neil, different venues use different products in their divot mix. We just use a silica sand with some pine bark in it, or a fine compost mix, and we mix that about 50-50, and that's what we use for our divots. And generally what will happen, the stampers will come past, they will knock the divot back from the front, because obviously you have no movement of the soil going forwards, and then we'll obviously just fill the hole, level it off to ground level, and that's basically a repair done.
We're going with Dean now to the local dam situated in the middle of Kenilworth Racecourse, and obviously this is the huge supplier of the water used for irrigation purposes. An important part of information for the race goer is to find out about the penetrometer reading. We all know that they give us the different readings. Dean's going to explain to us exactly how it works.
We have of late standardized the penetrometers in South Africa. So we're comparing apples with apples, irrespective of which venue racing is taking place on. So this is a uniform unit. It's a very basic thing. It has a centerpiece to it and an outer sheath. And what we measure is basically this section penetrating the ground, or the shear strength of the turf. So basically what we will do, put it down on the ground, anchor it, tighten your gauge that actually measures the depth that this outer shaft penetrates the soil. Lift the weight up to the top, drop it, and we'll get a reading.
The reading there now says?
The reading is
About 30?
30 at the moment.
We've watered this morning, that 15 mils we put down this morning, so it will be like that. Southeast will come up and it will just blow it away.
On the morning of a race day, we take 3 drops on the inside, 3 drops in the middle, 3 drops on the outside at predetermined distances, and obviously we get an average out of that.
Dean, as we can see in front of us here, you've got your workers coming out doing a very important part with the divots. How many firstly do you have on a race day?
We have a staff complement on the track of about 30 people at Kenilworth. Generally during summer, we will mow it 3 times during the week. Obviously a little bit less during the winter months, normally once or twice every week.
Well, it's been a program that's taught us a lot about what we need for a good surface. Next time you go racing, you'll know that your horse has had every chance, a fair chance, an equal chance to come out tops on the grass.